Joshua Wright, Community Project Coordinator for the Cancer Health Disparities Initiative at the UW-Carbona Cancer Center. Joshua supports and engages organizations, groups, and individuals who are working in their communities to raise awareness and improve health outcomes. Before joining Carbone, Joshua worked as a restorative justice coordinator with the YWCA Madison, and where he trained middle and high school students to be restorative justice circle keepers. So Joshua, thank you so much.
As I trip up the stairs, and to let everybody know in full transparency, I thought about, don't trip up the stairs. Good morning, everybody. I just feel so honored as well to follow the wonderful speakers that I have, and I'm looking to make sure that I can refine my skills in the ways that they have, but I know that will take some time. So thank you for allowing me this moment to take my time as I go through. I'm not going to take that much time because I know we have a schedule to keep, but I was brought into this opportunity through just an idea of saying, hey, I have exposure to this work of restorative justice and restorative justice practices, and being able to say that might be a great way to just do some tone setting or some understanding and take us through an activity through building our values, building our shared values, and really making sure that we have our full self here and willing and able to listen, as we heard the importance of hearing through the previous talk. You know, those are the things that we want to do, and I just want to acknowledge first and foremost that it takes a level of energy and presence to do that, especially with this topic that is so important in hearing about cancer. So just, briefly, restorative justice is not a new kind of concept. It's just we find ourselves adding new language to things that make sense in how we carry ourselves through certain contexts. And so just as we have heard of the American Indian values and understandings and ways of being, that is something that has informed restorative justice practices. And in this country, we are focused a lot on punitive ways of interacting once harm has been inflicted. And so with restorative understanding, restorative practices, it's being able to step away from that and still hold the levels of accountability, responsibility, obligation, and also reintegration as things that need to happen for healing to take place. And so just with that understanding, I wanted to open up with Fania Davis being quoted in terms of saying, restorative justice is founded on a worldview that affirms our participation in a vast web of interrelatedness. It sees crimes as acts that rupture the web, damaging the relationship not only between the individuals directly involved, but also vibrating out to injure relationships with families and communities. The purpose of restorative justice is to repair the harm caused to the whole of the web, restoring relationships to move into a brighter future. And being able to talk about restorative practices, I just felt like there was some value in being able to apply that here in our ways of listening and our ways of relating to one another. We're here to listen to people who are survivors and really have an opportunity to share themselves in a special way. And so there's not a crime that has been committed, but we do know that there is harm based on people that have to go through a cancer journey and find their way to negotiate these spaces. So just applying that in this space, I was really wanting to tailor, restorative practices that are about just shifting our understanding around those things of blame. And we know that there are a lot of other feelings that are associated with the cancer journey that kind of are similar to what happens when crimes happen or when some injustice or harm is done. And so those feelings of blame, but guilt, shame, all of those other things have kind of parallels when it comes to restorative justice. And so I wanted to think about this moment and opportunity to use restorative justice as a primary focus for this type of event, to listen to survivors and understand their story. So when survivors give their perspective, it is key in determining how to support their journey and what being part of their community means. So survivors and the community are central to the healing process. Everybody can be a part of the quality of life for a survivor. That's if they choose, the survivor, to welcome you in to their walk and their journey. And then also within restorative practices, there's the real acknowledgement of the human beings have dignity and worth. And so survivors are able to move forward with respect and dignity as they are negotiating their role in broader communities as much as possible. And so as we are just wanting to do some value setting, the Wisconsin Cancer Collaborative, opened up with their values of respect, open-mindedness, reflection, and action. And so on each of the tables, there are some sticky kind of note cards, and everybody does have a pen, but there are a couple of markers at the table as well. And I wanted to invite us to take a moment to understand who we are and what values we hold dear and want to bring into this space. And so I just also kind of made some scenarios to maybe help us kind of think through, because these concepts can be big and, lots of philosophical things come to mind when we're talking about our personal or thinking about our personal values. But I was just thinking through, and so let me just give off a couple scenarios that might help think through what some of the values are, the words that you would like to share in this space. And so imagine, if you will, you're the protagonist in a remarkable story. And in the opening of the story, you must describe the attributes and characteristics of you, the protagonist, as an audience is being drawn into the plot. What words, ideas, concepts would you use to convey yourself as the protagonist? Okay? So that's just one way to kind of get things going. And another way to think of this could be your best friend from childhood wants to reconnect with you after not seeing you for a long time. What would they say they miss about you in terms of what they value about your traits and personality? What words would they use to highlight your positive attributes? Also just have one more kind of way of being able to prompt to get the mind flowing in this value setting way. So you're writing a memoir about your life, and in this story you highlight how your cherished relationships added significance to your life. What features about these relationships make them so important to you? What dynamics allow for the relationship to be strong and fulfilling? What elements do you want to express in these relationships to help fortify them? So just gonna take a couple minutes, please think through. I'm hoping that everybody has something to write on as the sticky notes, and remember, this space up here will be where we will share some of them. And so after we take a couple minutes to think through, we'll come back together and we'll re-engage around sharing some of our values.